So hello and welcome to another book club video. Thank you for all the lovely comments that I received over the first video in the series. I will be addressing those comments in the next video. This is kind of an interim thing. I'm just trying something because I've talked about my journey in reading, but I didn't really touch upon the fact that one of the reasons why I have tried to take an interest is because of my son, who is under 2 years old, and he has taken an interest in books. Obviously he can't read yet, but he's taken an interest in books. He loves sitting down and listening to you reading and looking at pictures. We haven't quite gone on to like full-length novels. They're just sort of picture books and things like that, but they're a really good introduction. And I thought what I would do here is give a couple of tips to parents and people who are in touch with children as to how they can get hold of books fairly cheaply. The obvious one is to buy second-hand, but I know that some parents perhaps are a bit funny about that because they don't know where the books have been. Although I don't know, but I feel that with board books you could probably wipe those down. I do like a good board book. It's a form of reading and bookery, let's say, that I had completely forgotten about, because unless you're under 5 years old you don't really use them. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, then it's something like this. This is Sleep Tight, Very Hungry Caterpillar, and of course with this children under a certain age can read it and not rip the pages or anything. Some of the board books I've come across, the paper inside comes undone and my son started to rip those, so do be wary of that. But that is a really nice thing. The only thing I find with a lot of these is when they've got the flap in there, it's a very particular story. It's like, who's hiding behind the hedge? Oh, it's this, or it's a bear, you know? It tends to be that type of thing. Whereas the classic sort of big picture book, which I know children under a certain age, they'd be more likely to rip it, but I think with adult supervision it should be fine. A couple of things I've stumbled upon recently. I'll talk about the most unusual one because I feel it needs a little bit of explaining. But the Amazon Kindle that I've talked about previously has a couple of subscriptions that are available, and it might appeal to your child or it might not. It depends how old the child is and what their interest is in books, you know, whether they like looking at pictures or whether they're of a certain age where they like writing. So the couple of things, I'm currently subscribed to Amazon Unlimited, Amazon Kindle Unlimited, which gives you access to thousands of books, and you can read those. It almost works like a library. You rent a book on your Kindle and then you give it back, right? That's basically it. You don't own it, you just rent it, read it, and apparently for every page read it pays the author, but I can't verify that. I don't know how that works. And then you send it back again. One thing I found on this Amazon Kindle Unlimited is that they do picture books. Obviously there's like little funny stories. Usually it's things like the bear that pooped in the woods and you know, weird kind of, some would say puerile things like that, but kids love poo, don't they? It is fun, but certainly on my Kindle it's in black and white, so it's not really that exciting, I guess, but my son has sat down and allowed me to read it. I do find the flicker of the screen, because there's not many words on the page obviously and you have to keep turning it, you have the flicker of the Kindle screen. Sometimes I tend to like turn it away from my son so that he's not constantly exposed to it. I don't think you notice it when you're reading like a novel, because you spend a lot more time staring at a single screen. But when you have to keep flicking over for pictures, that is just my Kindle, which is about 10 years old. Maybe they've improved it, but I don't know. Maybe there's absolutely no difference whatsoever, but it's just worth noting. The other subscription thing that they do is like a children's subscription, and that gives you access to children's books as opposed to a wide range, and also stuff on Amazon Prime Video that's aimed at children, etc. I think both of them are sort of between £2 and £5 a month, which I don't think is too bad. I paid about 99p for 3 months as part of a special offer on the Kindle Unlimited. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like though my child perhaps will have to wait a little while. I think on the kids one you can get Paddington books and things. When they're used to reading without pictures, as in me reading to them, then it will be great, and obviously a good step towards getting them into reading for themselves. At the moment they just look at the pictures. The other thing I think is worth noting, and again this isn't for everybody, and I realise that there are people out there struggling for money, and you know there are second-hand books, there are places where you can obviously rent books. That's a library. You can do all those things, but if you like a brand new shiny book, a fairly inexpensive way is the offer at the works that they do. They do like 5 for £10 or 10 for £10, and I took advantage of this recently, and these are paperback books that are for under a certain age. You can get the more kind of juvenile novels and stuff as part of this deal as well, so it's not just those first steps, you know, like picture book type things. But let me show you what we picked up as part of this 10 for £10, so that you can get an idea as to what is available. So let's start. This is Harry McClary Shoe by Linley Dodd. I haven't read this one yet, but it's really nicely illustrated. We've got Always and Forever by Debbie Gliori and Alan Durant. I like this one. And The Train Goes by William B. There's a nice little tribute to Fred Dibner in there, something for the parents. This is a book based on a TV series, or is it a TV series based on a book? I can never get round. This is Sarah and Doug. Quack. That is a book with the images from the TV series. My son loves this series, so it was a really nice thing. This was £1 as part of the deal, right? We've got The Great Cheese Robbery by Tim Warnes. Not read that one yet. Another adaptation, Kipper's Toy Box. This is a classic. It says they're 30 years of Kipper, and that's the thing. I think there's a great mixture in that selection at the works at the moment, 10 for £10, of well-known things like Kipper and Sarah and Duck, and then things like this, Good Night Like This by Mary Murphy. I haven't read that one. We've got this one, Horatio's Bed by Camilla Ashforth. Horatio's Bed. It kind of looks like Old Bear. Do you remember Old Bear stories that was adapted into a stop motion animation thing in the late 80s, early 90s? I think it was it Anton Rogers that did the narration for that? Yeah, that's what that reminds me of. We love this one. Even my wife and I. Sir Scallywag and the Golden Underpants by Giles Andrea and Corky Poole. And it even says here, wow, this is a really fantastic book. who's saying that? That's what I want to know. That is a really good story, really funny, and the thing is as well, I like it when a story rhymes. This one rhymes, so it allows you to get some kind of rhythm. And then this one is Moomins, based on the original stories. So that is a Moomin and the Moonlight Adventure book. Again, a very well-known property. And so those 10 books were £10 for the lot, so that's £1 each. Now I realise again, maybe your child doesn't want that many books, maybe that's too much for you, perhaps you can't afford that as that, but think about it like this. So if you've got 2 children and you do you know, that 10 for £10, then you could kind of spread it out over a period of time, give it to them on their birthdays or whatever for a couple of years. You know, you'd be spreading out the cost of that and saving you some time. You could also give it as a gift if you know various children, or for birthday parties and things, as like a little token thing. I think is a nice idea. There are ways to make it work beyond just giving your child loads of books. I mean, the other thing is, if you can really afford it, you could perhaps buy 10 of those and donate them somewhere for people to read, because I found that these are really nicely printed, they're nicely illustrated, and as I said, there is a really good selection of known titles and things like Sir Scallywag, which, to be honest, I'd never heard of before. And when my son asks me to read things again and again, that is a book I'm happy to go back to. Same with the Kipper thing, although I can't do the Martin Clunes impression, no matter how much I try. So yeah, I think that's a really good way. There are other shops will do very similar deals as well, so I think that's worth checking out. And again, just to reiterate this, there will be second-hand options. Some people are okay with buying second-hand, some people don't have a choice. I'm fully aware of these facts. So what do you think? If you have a child, have you taken advantage of this deal or similar deals? And here's a fun one. When you were little, did you read a lot of books? Did you have a lot of books read to you? And what books were they? We've got Dear Zoo round here somewhere, which I remember reading at school. That was a fun little excursion. That was really nice. Well, my battery is running low, so I am going to leave you for this episode. Please do leave all your comments below. I will try and answer each and every one as I can, and I will see you again for another book club video.